Perhaps you give to support Israel. Perhaps there's a young entrepreneur in Israel who needs money to start a business. Or maybe you give to help the starving child in our local community. Perhaps you're like me, and you give because you know it's our obligation to take care of one another, to take care of the Jewish community. How many of you have been to a training before? Raise your hand. A good number of us. When I've been to these trainings in the past, they try to teach us about the features and benefits of Federation. You guys all know that Federation is an unbelievable organization. There are countless wonders that Federation does throughout the world. But you know what? People don't give money intellectually. People don't make decisions intellectually. They make decisions emotionally. And it's important that you touch their spirit. And that's why it's important that you understand why you give. In order to make an emotional connection with yourself and make an emotional connection with that person. It's my blessing tonight to get to talk to you about the resource guide. And I want to thank Stuart. You did an absolutely wonderful job in putting together this resource guide. And I hope all of you will read it, cover to cover, just like I did. No? Nothing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's very important that you read this, just to understand the case for giving. Read the telephone scripts. We don't have time to go through the telephone scripts in depth tonight. Whether you use scripts or not, it's important that you read it just to know a guideline of what to talk about. Now, the reason that we do training is to get people to make their calls. How many of you have been or are a division head? Hands? A good number of us. What if all of your workers actually made all their calls? Wouldn't that be amazing? If all of your workers actually made all their calls, we would have a much easier job to do at Super Sunday. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is formulating a plan to make sure that that gets done. Stuart gave a great icebreaker, and we talked about a lot of the obstacles that people have to overcome in order to make their calls. They face the fear of rejection. And I think Sheldon summed it up perfectly. You're not speaking for yourself. You're speaking for others less fortunate than you. We talked about how difficult it is to ask for money, and that money is a taboo subject. But again, you're not speaking for yourself. You're speaking for those less fortunate of you. But my feeling is the number one reason that people don't make their calls is because they don't have a plan. They don't know specifically what they need to do to get it done. If you're like me, you're a procrastinator. You don't do it a little bit at a time, and you wait until the end of January and you think, oh my gosh, I've got an insurmountable task of calls to make. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to get that done. Now, before you ever make a phone call, there are a few things that you need to do. The first thing Bonnie spoke about eloquently today. You need to make your own gift. You cannot ask someone else for money unless you are emotionally committed to that cause. Raise your gift so that you can be part of the Matching Challenge grant. The second thing you need to do after you've made your own gift is log in to the file sharing website on the Federation website. There are innumerable amount of resources on there for you, and this is where you can go to get your cards and other information. So if you have not logged in before, please call Wendy at the Federation. She will help you get everything set up to get onto the website. The third thing I think is the most important thing. Make a personal call to them to invite them to kick off. Don't ask them for money. Make an introduction first without asking for money. Could you imagine if we had 250 people at kickoff? Could you imagine if you called someone and said, I'm not calling you for money. I want you to be my guest to come with me to hear a night of Jewish comedy. Asking for money is about making a personal connection. So this is your opportunity to not only expand your network, but make an emotional connection with another person. Additionally, the Federation has letters on the file sharing that you can download and send to your donors and let them know that you will be contacting them later this year. I personally think it's a lot easier to ask someone for money if I have a little bit of familiarity with them. So please, take the time to do that. If you're on Facebook, Facebook them. Be a part of their network. Then you need to make a plan to complete your call. Calls get started after kickoff. Kickoff is Wednesday, December the 2nd. You need to have all of your calls wrapped up about a week before Super Sunday. And I hope that you will all come to call for Super Sunday, because again, Melanie and I are chairing it.
When is Super Sunday?
Super Sunday is Sunday, February 21st. Thank you very much. So that gives you about 3 months to finish all of your calls. About 13 weeks. Most of us get about 10 to 15 cards. You take one per week, you've completed your goal. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Right? One bite at a time. So just take it in small chunks. This is a great way for you division leaders to keep your workers accountable. Let them know your expectations before solicitation season starts. Let them know. I think a good plan for you would be to try to get one per week done. At the end of the first month, you know that they should have 4 calls completed, checked off their list. And if they don't, gently remind them that they should. You should be checking in with your workers at least once a month. One of the most important things that you can do is ask for a face-to-face solicitation. I know we talked about answering machines and caller ID and how difficult it is to confront someone on the telephone because it's so impersonal. Again, and I think everyone has tried to talk about this today, you're making a personal connection. You're making an emotional connection with another person. You are a steward of the Jewish community. Get that across to them. A lot of these people have no contact with Jewish Federation, 365 days a year. You are the face of Federation to these people. Be that face. Go out and meet with them. In the book, there is a very nice step-by-step guide on things to talk about when you are making a face-to-face solicitation. So please, read that. Invite them to coffee. Invite them for lunch. And remember, you're enhancing your own network. When it's time to submit the card, again, you can take checks, you can take credit cards. I bet the Federation would even take a big wad of cash. The last thing that you've got to make sure that you do is send a thank you card. There's a good chance that you're going to be calling on these people again next year. So make sure to send a thank you card on behalf of yourself and behalf of the Federation. It's a very nice touch when someone has received a personal, handwritten note from you, thanking them for their time and for their generosity. Now what I'd like to do now is I'd like to open it up just for a couple of minutes and talk about some objections that you guys hear, that we can maybe brainstorm some ideas of how to get over those. The economy's slow, my portfolio's down. Does anyone have any things that they typically hear? And if you have a suggestion on how you can get over it, let's hear that too. Bonnie?